every instruction of the spiritual master uh, is having that potency. So one has to commit, and that is the tapasya, and that is the struggle which every sadhaka has to do. Like I remembered now, almost 10 days or no, 10 days, 2 weeks back. Uh, uh, so around 10 days or 2 weeks back, so Acharya Tapu had arranged a meeting, our meeting with Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj. So Acharya Tapu was introducing us to Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, and because Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj is presently the no, acting temple president of ISKCON Calcutta. So Maharaj wanted to understand what is happening in Calcutta, and out of these fellows can also be introduced. So he arranged our meeting also. Maharaj was one by one meeting all devotees. So Achan Poet arranged a meeting. This was a day on shifting, and the day of shifting itself in the morning. So then Achandapu had told us to give a report of all our projects, what we are doing, what services we are doing. And Maharaj was hearing very intently out of his great compassion and kindness. And and then Maharaj was very happy with the services we are doing. So Maharaj was telling very good, you know. So you are doing very nice services. And Maharaj said you should go on. And Maharaj said a lot of problems are going to come, you know, but you should not stop, you know. so so Maharaj said, so your project very nice. It will glorify Prabhupada mission, lot of preaching. Now you are doing two extreme types of preaching. One is going to the tribals, one is going to the research, like that. And you want to use the tribals for research, very nice. He said, your project, you should go on and do this service very nicely. Do not stop, do not get do not get tired, do not get broken hearted. A lot of problems are going to come. So that's the point. Material world is not a safe, no smooth journey. So how one should go on? One should go on keeping his mind focused on the goal. And this is my service, come what may, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. This is my service. My service is. So the instruction of the spiritual master has to be kept, in mind. No, I have to serve. I have to continue serving. Times may not be favorable. Obstacles will come. Devotees will misunderstand. Everything will happen. So there is no question whether it will happen or not. Right from the first note, you have to be clear. Everything is going to happen. So, everything is going to happen. But we should continue. We should continue. So Krishna is explaining that we should continue. Shreya Prajapalanam Eva Rajano Yat Samparaye Sukritat Ashtamamsham Hartan Yatha Hita Punya Prajanam Arakshita Karaharo Gham Atte. To give protection to the general mass of people who are citizens of the state is the prescribed occupational duty for a king. By acting in that way, the king next life shares 1/6 of the result of the pious activities of the citizens. But a king or executive head of the state who simply collects taxes from the citizens but does not give them proper protection as human beings, has the results of his own pious activities taken away by the citizens. And in exchange of his not giving protection, he becomes liable to the punishment for the impious activities of his subjects. Okay. The question may be raised here that if everyone engaged in spiritual activities to attain salvation and become indifferent to the activities of the material world, then how could things as they are, and then how could things as they are go on? And if things are to go on as they ought to, how can a head of the state be indifferent to such activities? In answer to this question, the word Shreya, auspicious, is used. The division of activities in the society, as arranged by the Supreme Personality of Lord Godhead, was not blindly or accidentally created, as foolish people say. The Brahmana must do his duty properly, and the Kshatriya, the Vaishya, and even the Shudra must do the same. And every one of them can achieve the highest perfection of life. Liberation from this material bondage. This is confirmed by Bhagavad Gita 8:45. Swe swe karmani abhiratah tam siddhim labate naraha. By executing one's prescribed duties, one can attain the highest perfection. Lord Vishnu advised Maharaj Prithu that a king is not enjoined to give up his kingdom and the responsibility of protecting the prajas or citizens, to instead go away to the Himalayas for liberation. He can attain liberation while executing his royal duties. The royal duty or the duty of the head of the state is to see that the prajas or the general mass of people are doing their respective duties for spiritual salvation. A secular state does not necessitate a king or head of state who is indifferent to the activities of the praja. In the modern state, the government has many rules and regulations for conducting the duties of the prajas, but the government neglects to see that the citizens advance in spiritual knowledge. If the government is careless in this matter, the citizens will act whimsically, without any sense of God realization or spiritual life, and thus become entangled in sinful activities. An executive head should not be callous to the welfare of the general mass of people, while he simply goes on collecting taxes. The king's real duty is to see that the citizens gradually become fully Krishna conscious. Krishna conscious means completely free from all sinful activities. As soon as there is complete eradication of sinful activities in the state, then there will be no more war, pestilence, famine, or natural disturbances. This was actually prevailing during the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira. If the king or the head of the government is able to induce the citizens to become Krishna conscious, then he is worthy to rule over the mass of people. Otherwise, he has no right to levy taxes. If the king looks after the spiritual interests of the citizens, he can levy taxes without difficulty. In this way, both the subjects and the king will be happy during this life, and in the next life, the king will be able to share 1/6 of the pious activities of the citizens. Otherwise, by levying taxes on the sinful citizens, he will have to share the reactions of their sinful activities. The same principle can be applied to parents and spiritual masters as well. If parents simply give birth to children like cats and dogs, but not save their children from imminent death, they become responsible for the activities of their animalistic children. Lately, such children are turning into hippies. Similarly, if a spiritual master cannot direct his disciples to become free of sinful activities, he becomes responsible of their sinful act for their sinful acts. These subtle laws of nature are unknown to the present leaders of society. Since the leaders of society has a poor fund of knowledge and the citizens in general are rogues and thieves, there cannot be an auspicious situation for the human society. At the present moment, the whole world is full of such incompatible combination of state and citizens. And therefore, there is constant tension, war, and anxiety as an inevitable result of such social conditions. So this verse is very beautiful. Why? Because previously the Lord said that, okay, situation, I can give anything. It can be favorable, can be comfortable, can be peaceful, it can be pinching, can be painful, can be any situation. Yeah. You focus on duty. Yeah. And now the Lord is issuing a guarantee. The Lord is telling that whatever situation is there is full scope of going back home, back to Godhead from that. So don't be attached to situation. Yeah. Krishna is telling that whatever situation, there is full scope of going back home, back to Godhead. Yeah. And therefore, Prabhupada is elaborating this point, and Prabhupada is explaining this point so beautifully in the purport. When Srila Prabhupada is explaining that a Brahman, in his situation, in his service, he can go back to Godhead. Yeah. A Kshatriya, a Vaishya, a Shudra, he can go back to Godhead. So we can see the path of Krishna consciousness is so auspicious and so absolute. Prabhupada highlights on this word, it is auspicious. The path is auspicious. Auspicious means everything can lead to the ultimate goal. So in Krishna consciousness, there is no such thing as less, more important, less important, higher seva, lower seva. The moment we say seva, it is absolute. And then no question of high, low. That is the point. So whatever situation, one can actually one has the full opportunity to go back to Godhead, provided he is absorbed in pleasing Krishna. Haritoshana. Haritoshana. So Krishna arranges and equilibrates everything. So equilibrium may not exist for an individual, but over the uh, you know uh, over the community, or you can say over the entire world, or over the integral, the equilibrium exists. That's a beautiful point. So Krishna is telling, don't worry whether it is equilibrium for you or not. Overall, there is equilibrium. You just be engaged in your focus. So that's an interesting and amazing point. Is it that the Lord is emphasizing here? Yes, question. Yeah, so okay, so here question is that okay, if we stay in association of devotees, then we can continue practice. But if we stay in hostel or non-devotees, we cannot. So 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 this situation is favorable, that situation is not favorable. See, the point is that so here the question is coming: what exactly is the meaning of situation then? No? So what exactly is the meaning of situation? Where we have freedom and where we don't have freedom? That has to be understood very properly. When it comes to spiritual intensity, we have full freedom. When it comes to material surroundings, we have no freedom. That is the point. So staying in association of devotees is our choice. So there is no situational barrier. There is no situational barrier. So is our choice. There is no situational barrier. In a hostel scenario here, everyone can stay in the association of devotees. There is no situational barrier here, actually. So uh, no, so none of us are in that predicament that okay, that people have bound us with ropes, they are not allowing us to go, and associate, attend morning program. None of us are in that situation. So when we are saying situation means what material reactions come on the plane. That is the meaning of situation, actually. spiritually, everyone can associate with devotees. Spiritually, everyone can ensure there is association. So COVID came and almost went by the second, third variation, but it cannot stop devotees from associating. Is it not? The temples are closed, association was still available. Is it not? So association, nobody can stop. It is our choice. So it is an individual choice. On the YouTube, he wants to see some Netflix new release, or he wants to take association of Krishna Katha, of devotees. So association, nobody can stop. That means spiritual frontiers, nobody can stop. Is it not? On the grounds of spiritual, we have full freedom. We have full freedom. So if that is the point. But on material grounds, many times freedom is not there. Like one may be trying very sincerely, say to preach, but he may not be getting results. Like there are many devotees, they are trying, say for example, to open a center in their area, to preaching center, but their whole life goes in trying. Their whole life goes in trying. Heavy endeavors, but just to make a temple, just to set up things, may take 2 decades for them, 3 decades for them. And for some it may not happen. The person may die also serving. It's like Jatayu, it didn't happen. He didn't achieve success. He died serving. Is it not? He didn't achieve success. His mission, Mother Sita, he could not save. So that is the point, that no matter how much we try, sometimes material situations may not improve. This we have seen. Healthy devotee can serve very nicely. Even an unhealthy and diseased devotee can also serve very nicely. We have seen examples of devotees who are unhealthy. Like Radhesham asked one Maharaj, Maharaj, how is your health? Then he said, okay, my so he said, okay, my body is diseased. So 2 different devotees he had asked. So one time when Maharaj said that, okay, my body is diseased, but my soul is very happy serving Krishna. So he was unhealthy, a lot of health problems. But then, but then he was very happy because he was serving Krishna. That is the point. So sometimes no matter how much you try, so a healthy devotee can serve very nicely. Even an unhealthy devotee can serve very nicely. So don't just keep crying about health. If even after trying it is not, this is true for material health, bodily health, this is true for mental health also. Now, another time Rai Shampoo asked this question, so so then the other Maharaj, he said, very nice. So he said, okay, my body is diseased, but better to have a diseased body and serve Krishna, than have a healthy body and die in sense gratification, or being drowned in sense gratification. So he said that. Very meaningful point, realized point. This point is coming from a very realized platform, is it? So this is the point, actually, is it not? So, so this is called as material situation. This is exactly what is called as material situation, is it not? So sometimes so sometimes devotees get start getting tired of the struggle. That okay, previously we were staying under a tin shed, or we were staying in a kutir, like our Pune camp temple, we were practically staying in kutir, and some wooden structures, there was a wooden roof in front, over the top of us. We started our existential stay like that. So one may say, okay, there is struggle because we are staying under a tin shed. Then so then devotees were trying to preach, raise funds, everything, a lot of preaching, a lot of fundraising, everything happened. So then a temple is built, but still the existence of the devotees is still hand to mouth. The struggle is still like that only. Okay, even for basic things, again they struggle. Yes, the temple is there, the temple is glorifying Krishna, but then the struggle is there for us to render some service. Is it not like that? So one should not get tired of the struggle. So one may say, okay, previously I was staying in a hut, like that, under the tin shed, the struggle was there, hand to mouth existence. Now it's a beautiful palace for Krishna, like that. But for us, again, there is a struggle. The same hand to mouth struggle is there. Okay, get fund, preach. So first get fund, then preach. Preaching you have to, so you get funds, and then in preaching you release the funds. You get funds, release the funds. Ultimately, every time it's hand to mouth. Like that. Big marble temple is there for Krishna. Like that. And now so many people are getting inspired. But for again, if you want to preach, and you get funds, and release the funds, then that same hand to mouth type of struggle is there. The point is that these material situations are in hands of Krishna. This is what is called a situation. This is what is called as a situation actually. So that is the point. So you may say, okay, so what does a devotee, what is a devotee's profile? A devotee is nichkinchana always. Is it not? So like it is very simple. A devotee is the same, always. What is a devotee? Devotee is always a beggar, is it not? Like our Bhaktivedanta National School, very nice. If somebody gives us 1 lakh donation, we will get 20 more kids. Is it not? Somebody gives us 1 crore donation, we'll get 100 more kids. Like that. Ultimately, what do we have? We have nothing with us. Is it not? We have nothing with us. We just want to serve. Is it not? That's the point. Is it? So one should not so sometimes devotees get tired thinking, oh, material situation should change, things should become easy or not. So the point is that as soon as things become a little favorable, we should increase the service. So things remain same, is it not? The struggle for Krishna is a privilege. That is what we have to understand, is it not? A struggle for Krishna is a privilege. And therefore one has to dissociate himself from the material situation. This is called as material situation. This is exactly what is called as material situation. Is it not? Now, okay, let's go forward. And Prabhupada is giving a very beautiful formula here. The formula is there that that if you do your duties properly, you get as a king, one gets 1/6 of the pious activities. This is a very nice formula, is it not? But if one is slack in his duties, he will get 1/6 of the negative reaction. So if one has done his dharma very nicely, then he gets 1/6 of the positive share, like that. See, this is Krishna's mercy, is it not? That means what? Krishna is a very loving God. So we have been hearing, okay, every executive head, spiritual master always has to share the sinful reactions, like that. But if he's doing his dharma and duty properly, he doesn't share the sinful reaction share. Is it not? He shares the positive activity, pious reaction share. Is it not? Yeah, pious credit. So then sinful credits will not go, Prabhupada is saying. If one is done his dharma properly, then sinful credits will not go. But if one has not done his dharma, then sinful credits should go. See, Prabhupada is highlighting here for a king, even if the king is materially taking care of the citizens very nicely, but if the king is neglecting the spiritual care, then he will partake of 1/6 of the sinful reactions. Why? Because if the spiritual aspect is lost, everything is lost. Whereas the spiritual aspect is there, everything is there. So, Anji? Yeah, that is true for so king, parents, spiritual master. No, everyone comes in the same category. So therefore, spiritual focus is very important. This means that a spiritual focus is the sum and boom of everything. If this is there, strong, everything else can flourish like that. Everything else can flourish. But if this is not strong and set right, everything else will fall. It's just a matter of time. It is just a matter of time. Like that. So therefore, the spiritual concepts have to be, the foundations have to be very strong, like that. And one has to push himself, and one has to emphasize on these spiritual roots. The pleasure and service to Krishna always. Quite beautiful. Okay, let's go forward. एवं द्विजा ग्रे अनुमता अनुवृता धर्म प्रधानो अन्यतमो वितस्या राश्वेन कालेन गृहोपयातान् द्रष्टासि सिद्धान् अनुरक्तलोका. My dear King Prithu, Lord Vishnu said, if you continue to protect the citizens according to the instructions of the learned Brahman authorities, as they are received by the disciplic succession by hearing from master to disciple, and if you follow the religious principles laid down by them without attachment to ideas manufactured by mental concoction, then every one of your citizens will be happy and will love you. And very soon you will be able to see such already liberated personalities as the four Kumaras, Sanaka Sanatan, Sanandan, and Sanat Kumar. That Vishnu advised King Prithu that everyone should follow the principles of Varnashrama Dharma. Then, in whatever capacity one remains within this material world, his salvation is guaranteed after death. In this age, however, since the system of Varnashrama Dharma is topsy turvy, it is very difficult to strictly follow all the principles. The only method for becoming perfect in life is to develop Krishna consciousness. As Varnashrama Dharma is executed from different positions by different men, so the Krishna consciousness principles can be followed by everyone in every part of the world. There is a specific purpose in mentioning hearing that one should follow the Dvijagrayas, the most prominent Brahmanas like Parashar and Manu. The great sages have already given us instructions on how to live according to the principles of Varnashrama Dharma. Similarly, Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami have given us rules and regulations for becoming pure devotees of the Lord. It is essential, therefore, to follow the instructions of the Acharyas in the Parampara system, who have received the knowledge as passed down from the spiritual master to disciple. In this way, although living in our material condition of life, we can get out of the entanglement of the material contamination without leaving our positions. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advises, therefore, that one does not have to change his position. One simply has to hear from the perfect source. This is called parampara, and follow the principles for practical application in life. And thus one can attain the highest perfection of life, liberation, and go back home, back to Godhead. In other words, the change required is the change of consciousness, not in the body. Unfortunately, in this fallen age, people are concerned with the body, not with the soul. They have invented so many isms pertaining to the body and not to the soul. In the modern age of democracy, there are so many government representatives voting for legislation. Every day they bring out a new law, but because these laws are only mental concoctions, manufactured by inexperienced conditioned souls, they cannot give relief to the human society. Formerly, although the kings were autocrats, they strictly followed the principles laid down by great sages and saintly persons. There were no mistakes in ruling over the country, and everything went perfectly. The citizens were completely pious, and the kings levied taxes legitimately, and therefore the situation is very happy. At the present moment, the so-called executive heads are more or less selected from materially ambitious persons who simply look after their own personal interests. They have no knowledge of the Shastras. In other words, the executive heads are fools and rascals in the strict sense of the terms, and the people in general are Shudras. This combination of fools and rascals and Shudras cannot bring about peace and prosperity in this world. Therefore, we find periodic upheavals in society in the form of battles, communal riots, fratricidal quarrels. Under these circumstances, not only are the leaders unable to lead the people toward liberation, but they cannot even give them mental peace of mind. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that anyone who lives on concocted ideas without reference to the Shastras never becomes successful and does not attain happiness or liberation after death. Anyone who lives on concocted ideas without reference to the Shastras never becomes successful and does not attain liberation after death or happiness in this life. So Krishna is giving a very beautiful formula. The Krishna is telling that the love of Godhead, you know, there is a home delivery provision of love of Godhead. You don't have to run here and there everywhere. Take proper guidance and take your package and share of love of Godhead. So there is home delivery from any platform. One can serve, provided one takes guidance and adheres to the injunctions of uh, the acharyas. Then there is full home delivery for love of Godhead. One doesn't have to go here, there, everywhere, nowhere. You know, be there and take right guidance and take your share. That's what the Lord is saying here. So we'll stop here. We'll continue again further with this beautiful instructions that Lord Vishnu is giving to Prithu Maharaj, and the beautiful blessings Lord Vishnu is giving to Prithu Maharaj is so amazing and so instructive for all of us. And we'll see that more of it in our next class. Hare Krishna. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagwatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.